What's up? What's happening, man? We back. We live, man. We live. Got another one today. Let people start coming in. Make sure that we good to go as we, decide to get started. Um, this one ain't gonna be as long as last week, but like I told you guys, we're gonna keep it going, and we're gonna keep it pressing, and and we got this thing, man. How y'all feeling out there? Make sure to drop a comment. Make sure to drop a like. Let me know where you guys are from, where you logging in from, all of that good stuff. We'll see how that go. Yes, sir. This time I'm gonna make sure that if we have comments, I'll be able to see it, as well too. So we'd be good to go there. Hey man, time be passing. We in this new year, everything going good. Before I get started, I like to cheers. Cheers. Hey, we coming for everything that's meant for us this year and beyond. You know what I'm saying? Coming for everything. Every single thing. All right, man. So y'all already know. We are about to talk today about the financial pillar. And I really wanted to talk about this pillar because I knew that this would be big. This would be big. This would be strong. And that it was definitely something that we needed to talk about for sure. All right. Whew. Having kids. And if you're thinking about, starting a family, especially in an area where the cost of living is definitely a little bit higher, this video is definitely for you and you need to watch this, right? And I'm going to really hone in on the DC area. You've probably heard this is definitely one of the most expensive areas, in the nation, on top of, the New Yorks, the San Franciscos, the Bostons, the LAs, right? The Seattles. This is rough. And so we definitely gonna pull back some of the hidden costs that it takes when it comes to raising families. And so I want you to, sit down, pull up, get your pen, pad, and take notes and ride with your big uncle here. All right. So one, whoo, number one, and this is speaking from experience because I know a lot of people they struggle with this. A lot of people, it's like, is $100,000 really any? Is that money? That ain't no money. A lot of people be like, man, 100,000 ain't no money. Like you make $100,000 a year in this economy, it's tough. Well, one, it all depends on where you live, right? I mean, $100,000 in Mississippi is still a great $100,000. You can get probably a nice house in Mississippi for maybe 250,000, like nice, decent house. In those areas that I named, you're not getting a house like that. Especially unless you in a trailer, or even a trailer probably gonna run you about 300,000. I'll just be honest with you. Maybe if you live in the hood, you might be able to swing 250. But typically that's probably somewhere you don't want to live. So that makes it extremely, extremely tough. But yeah, so 100K, right? Is it real money? In these areas, I'm here to tell you, it's absolutely not. Sorry. Sorry for all the people that create videos and talk about these things. It is not. One, people don't tell you about if you do not have a support system and you decide to have kids, guess what? You're gonna probably have you're gonna pay $20,000 to $30,000 a year in daycare costs. Right? Not only you have daycare costs, you have lifestyle creep, right? That will definitely, kick in because think about it. If you're making $100,000, are you trying to live in the hood? And it's not even like, oh, I need this huge place, right? But in the DMV, if you want a decent 2-bedroom place, you're gonna spend about $2,400 a month. A decent, and I said decent. This ain't top of the line, high end. This is a decent place. You're gonna spend about $2,400, $2,400 a month, right? So you have a wife. You just say your wife is making $100,000. You're making $100,000, right? You're paying $20,000 to $30,000 a year in childcare. That's just one kid. It's just one kid. You're paying $2,400 a month on the low end for a 2-bedroom apartment. So this is you and your wife and one kid, right? I need you to look at that already and what that looks like, how much that in itself is, right? $200,000. We're going to take taxes from that. What, 30% on the low end? Come on, y'all. Do it. I'm gonna get my nice little handy dandy calculator for y'all so we can do this. Easy. Times. So 200,000, 30%. That is 60,000. So now you're talking about 140. By the time you got past your rent and your daycare, right? Plus, we're gonna do daycare on the low end. We're gonna do 20,000. This is just one child. Woo. You are at $91,200 left, and that was doing that was doing low taxes. We know taxes are a little bit more than that. I just did 30%, right? We know taxes are definitely a little bit more. So now that's no food costs, in which we know food has absolutely went up, right? We know you got to pay for electric, you got water, you have your car. If you don't have car, you're gonna have to pay for transportation. Maybe you live in Virginia or Maryland and you're commuting into the DC area for your job, right? There's so many different things that you're going to be paying for, right? And last time I checked, a decent car. We ain't talking about your Benzes and all of that. A decent car is going to run you about $600-700 a month. $600 to $700 a month. You have two cars. That's going to be over $1,400 a month, right? You're just going to continue to subtract. These are some of the reasons why you can make that amount. And once again, we're doing these things on the low end so that way everyone can see as I'm talking through this, where you can make $100,000, your wife can make $100,000, and then you're like, whoa, I'm almost living paycheck to paycheck, right? You're trying to invest, you're trying to save, you're trying to do all these different things. So what should you do? What should you do? First thing we're going to talk about. If you're deciding to build a family, right? Hey, babe, I think we should, have a kid. First off, you need to do is understand how much childcare is, right? In your area. So you need to research, the at least 5 or 6 to get good pricing on what that looks like, right? And like I said, in this area, on the low end, $400 a week, not a month, $400 a week on the low end. And that's just going to be a basic childcare facility. That's not nice. That's not going to be great. That's not going to be like all the camera and technology. That's just going to be a basic low end daycare. $400. Now, if you're probably wanting, a little top of the line, a little bit better, that's when you're going to start to get to, more about the $500 to $700 range, right? A week. $500 to $700 range is probably going to be where you're probably going to feel most comfortable, um, especially if you don't have anybody to help you. So you want to research that, and if that still makes sense, but you don't have the money saved, you want to start building a parental runway, is what I like to call it, to survive your first year. So if you are looking to have children, you should have that year of what childcare costs saved up. You should build that buffer. You want to make sure that you start to build the finances to take care of that child, because this is something that I didn't do. I did not have, the money saved up, for childcare, because you're just kind of thinking, oh, okay, cool, yeah, it's time, we make great money, let's just start having kids. And let me tell you, I did not know childcare was expensive, didn't do any research, didn't have my ducks in a row when it came to that. Um, so once you start paying it, you're like, oh wow, this is nuts. This is crazy. And these prices are not, what you want to deal with. So you want to definitely start to create that for a year. So you definitely want to start to put away, um, I would say on the low end, 25,000 to 30,000, for your child, to help you with that year buffer. So you already have it and you're able to pay that money, to daycare. Another thing that you need to think about is that the wait list, you know, could be crazy, for childcare, daycare. Some places are like, especially the good ones, 4, 5, 6 month wait list. So you're gonna have to jump on that ahead of time. I know it's crazy. People are jumping way ahead to pay these crazy, ridiculous, costs for childcare. It's silly. So you want to make sure that you save up, have that buffer, have that money, um, you know, to hold you, to cover you as you have children, man. Because let me tell you, it's gonna get crazy. And it's hard out here. It's tough. It's tough. It's tough. How much childcare costs. So make sure that you have that 1 year buffer, so that way you're good to go. It kind of gives you a leeway to even continue to save, and live, and just keep staying above that. Another thing that you have to think about here is you don't jump right into preschool at 3. Some of us, especially I know growing up in the South, like 3 years old, you're going to Head Start, preschool. Um, Up here, it's like a lottery, and it's super, super tough because most of the people, especially in this area, um, they typically, the first is like, you, if you don't speak English, they're at the top of the line. Of course, poverty level, you're at the top of the line, but that's like, it's like so crazy. Like, I think it's like making less than $20,000 a year type poverty level. Yeah, it's crazy. So they got to go through all this list before they get to, quote unquote, a regular middle class family to get you into preschool. So realistically, you might as well count out preschool. Just being honest, it's like winning the lotto. I'm gonna be honest with you. So prepare that you're going to be paying the first 5 years in childcare. And let me tell y'all something. It's like paying for college, honestly and realistically. It is like paying for a college. That's what these prices are. You're talking about paying, like I said, 25 to $30,000 a year. And then imagine if you have multiple kids. Like me, I have been paying for 2 childcare, uh, a year for the last four 4 years, right? I've had two. So multiply that times two. So you're looking at over the last 4 years paying about $50,000 a year. So you do the math on that, right? Yeah, crazy, crazy. That's college. So you're literally playing college on the front end. It's serious. It's not a game. It's real. So these are the things that you have to make sure that in your mind that you're ready for and that you've saved for. Or if you haven't, like that you make way more than enough that it balances itself out because you're sitting here like, whoa, yeah, I make, for instance, $150,000, $200,000. And then you like, sheesh, with my mortgage and then we're paying for two in childcare, you like, I'm kind of strapped a little bit. It's not super, super tight, but it's like, I can understand now how people are like, $100,000 ain't no money. I can understand even when people say, making $150,000 ain't no money. You could start to really understand that because all your bills are so high. And so what we call this is a university pre-K, and you would think that they're getting this high-end education, all of these great things. Absolutely not. Absolutely not. To me personally, it's a scam. Um, it's definitely a scam. I think that daycare, at least maybe not, babies, but I think from after 2 years old, I think it should be free. They should come with something where it's free. I get it, because up to 2 years old, there's a little bit more, kind of tender loving care that needs to be taken and, diaper changing and all of that good stuff. But after that, man, it should be a little different. It should definitely be a little different. So make sure that you save the money. Make sure that you are budgeting based off of the the money that you make and what you can afford. Um, I'm one of those people, man. I don't like to go backwards in lifestyle. And it's not that I have this crazy, huge lifestyle that I'm trying to live, right? But I don't like to go backwards. I like to just kind of coast, so to speak, and I'm not one of those that's going to go out here and buy a Maserati or whatever the case may be. But I'm one of those as well, too. Like I shouldn't be thinking about, I want to buy this coffee, but at the same time, if I buy this coffee, I might be strapped. Like that's what I'm talking about. That type of thing, or I kind of want to go out to a restaurant and get something to eat, but I probably shouldn't. That's the type of lifestyle I'm talking about. Nothing crazy. I don't need to go out here and buy this super, super, fancy car. I have decent cars, whatever. But that's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about is how much this is. So make sure also start over. Make sure that you're having this conversation with your spouse, especially if you're married. I think that you need to come up with a plan together. Sit down, talk about what it's going to look like, to have kids. Look at your finances currently and budget out after you've done your research what makes sense of how many kids you should have based off of how much money you guys make. I think that a lot of people just start having kids and don't have these conversations and then try to figure it out and maneuver, and they're struggling and they're pissed and they're mad and they start getting into these financial binds and then they start to drift apart. You need to sit down and have logical conversations of what makes sense. Both of y'all need to sit down and agree, right? If one child financially at that time fits, that's what y'all should do. If two fits, cool. But after that, you should cut it off. You should not try to have any more kids. You should just calm down, chill, because now you can start to get in financial binds and then start to kind of resent each other. So you definitely want to make sure that you don't go further than that. I'm harping on this because there's so many other things that I could talk about, right? As far as, your mortgage, your car notes and things. But I'm telling you, when people start to have kids, have family, they do not think about this. You know how much a car typically costs, right? You can look, okay, I need a car. This car costs $40,000. You can get online, do a calculator, look at it and say, okay, based off of how much this car costs, based on the interest rates, I have good credit. You know what? Yep, this car is going to be about $700 a month, over a 60-month span, right? Insurance, you can get a quote for that. All right, I know how much this is, so now between my car and insurance, it's going to be $850. Easy, easy. But like, you can't just go on a website and see how much a child care place costs. You're going to have to call. You're going to have to do research to figure it out. They're going to have to, give you that information. And so you need to sit down and see what that looks like before, so that way you can kind of understand, one child, 1 month, $2,400 a month. Woof, that's a mortgage. That's rent, Um, oh wow, two. Oh man, I'm paying $4,800 a month for two kids. Oof, that's my mortgage. That's my car notes. That's electric. Whew, that's all of these. What you start to find is this is the biggest hidden cost when it comes to starting a family, is child care. Unless you have a support system where you are that could possibly take some of that off of you, at least for the first, 2 years. That is perfect, because you can save that money. First 2 years, boom, you got help, and maybe you're shooting them a couple $100 a week, something on the lower end to kind of help you financially. And then once your child is, speaking, and you're like, okay, I want them to, go to school before they actually start kindergarten to get that training. Now you can pay for, like community college, 2 years, even though it's going to be more than community college prices, right? But instead of paying 4 to 5 years, and let's look, man, let's think about if your child has that late birthday. So now you got to pay a whole nother year for them to go to daycare. The worst hidden cost, the absolute worst hidden cost. Absolute worst hidden cost. You guys are thinking about starting a family, start doing the research, start budgeting absolutely right now, ASAP. It is not a game. We have to start setting ourselves up for success and stop going off of emotion and moving and then trying to figure it out. Stop doing that. Start planning. Get your ducks in a row. Understand what your costs are going to be, because you will definitely go from living like this up here to living down here and trying to figure it out and being pissed off because you're like, yo, all I feel like I do is work and take care of a family. Get to it. Get on. Hey, man, I told you we're going to cut these videos down a little bit. Estate planning, house planning, you and your wife planning, financial pillar. If you want to expand your family, you need to create a plan, a financial plan, to see how much it's going to cost and what you can afford. Because I'm here to tell you, child care is a beast and it costs. So you want to make sure that you're definitely doing what you need to do to take care of that. Child care, number one hidden cost that parents do not think about when they start to have a family. Hey, man, you already know. Go to my website, gentleman'scouncil.com, and click on services. and click on that link, man, if you want to get in touch with me and you want to, talk about this. If you need a checklist um, of things that you should know, especially when it comes to planning for extending your family, just hit me up and I'll send that over to you. Make sure to like and subscribe, man. And once again, y'all already know we coming for everything. We coming for everything that's meant for us in 2026 and beyond. And we're gonna be great, man. And to the next one, uh, peace, man. I hope y'all got something out of this.